GPCE Inception is a grand performance cutaway guitar with electronics. It is our solution to using non-traditional tone woods, mostly domestic tone woods, and trying to create a guitar that sounds like a Martin guitar, doing something really different, trying to take a fresh approach to how we look at the way we build instruments from the inside, sort of creating a new generation of product for Martin guitar. The GPCE Inception has a lot going on underneath the hood, a lot of things you probably can't see just without specifically looking. If you look inside, the first thing you're going to notice is the weight relief bracing. We have not used this style of bracing. I will not say we're the first people to put holes in braces. That's not the case at all. But we think our approach is a little bit different. We're using lasers to cut this hexagon pattern in there. It also does not weaken the structure at all. We wanted to put a pattern in that actually kept the structural integrity of the bracing and the top without making it weaker. We just wanted to make it lighter and more responsive.
So with maple in particular, the tone that it produces is a very bright and compressed sound. To overcome that, what the R&D guys developed is a system that works not only with the bracing, but also with the back wedge. And basically what it does is it loosens up the guitar and warms up that bright sound that you get out of maple, but it also has more dynamic range. Also, they've figured out a way to carve in a tone channel around each of the brace. And again, this tone channel lightens up that structure, but does not affect its stability.
The R&D department had been experimenting with some of these components previous to this design, but when tasked with using domestic hardwoods, we found it was a perfect marriage between the two. So after the skeletonized bracing and sonic channeling had been developed, we began working with Tim Teal in instrument design to bring some warmer qualities to the tone of the instrument, and Tim was instrumental in the walnut back wedge.
The back wedge was developed with the thought of right where the bridge on the top would be located. If you look through the guitar, you go to the back, the widest part of the bridge is a reflective surface. So the back reflects the energy that the top produces. And in that area, the walnut was chosen because it's a softer wood, has a little bit more bass response to it, and that helps also balance out some of the harshness from the maple.
As we were designing the instrument, we wanted to use as many sustainable products as we possibly could. We tried to avoid plastics wherever they were possible. We tried to use wood binding, obviously. Working with our wood buyer, Mike Dickinson, we identified maple, we identified walnut as the easiest sources for us to get, and that would give us the sonic properties that we were looking for. So he was integral in helping us source the right materials for this particular instrument.
Well, the cool thing about maple and walnut is, they've been used for hundreds of years. Violins going back to Stradivarius was using a European maple. So it's always been an amazing tone wood. But I just think because it grows in our backyard, people were very reluctant to use it. Now all of a sudden we're like going, hey, it grows in my backyard. That's really, really cool.
Sustainability is really important for us, and it has been important for Martin for a long time, but it's gonna be and is increasingly more and more important. And so the origin of the Inception model was for us to look for an opportunity to do something different, new for consumers, and that led us to thinking about domestic, available tone woods and more sustainable materials.
Maple, although it's great for archtop guitars and violins, for acoustic flat top guitar, it is actually a very difficult wood to get a very warm and robust sound out of the instrument compared to other woods that we use typically, like rosewood or mahogany.
In an effort to unlock maple's true potential, we have reduced the size of the sound hole, which increases low-end response. These instruments were measured through the use of spectral analysis. By measuring the frequency response of the instruments, we're able to narrow down the sonic impact of these unique design features. So we were able to prove that skeletonized bracing increases sustain and sonic channeling increases amplitude. So typically when you increase sustain, you lose amplitude, or vice versa. The unique design of the Inception model allows us to have an increase in both.
Some of the most notable specifications with this instrument are, you'll notice that it is a walnut fingerboard and a walnut bridge, something we normally don't do. It is a European spruce top, FSC, so that is a sustainable spruce top. You'll notice that there's no pearl on the instrument. We tried to stay away from pearl on this particular guitar, so the inlays would be maple on the instrument. Obviously the maple back and sides with the walnut wedge on the inside. So we really tried to work around a lot of new materials that we normally don't put all together in one instrument. So I thought that really made this instrument unique and special. We chose a satin finish for this particular instrument with a satin amber fade sunburst, a really different sunburst finish for us that we normally don't do. So it's bursted on the sides, on the back, and as well as on the top to really brighten up the instrument and give it a really fresh approach.
At Martin, we often refer to this term of 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future. And I think this guitar is a great example of 1 foot in the future.
The player, when they experience this instrument, they should get a sense that it's very familiar sounding because it's very reminiscent of a great Martin guitar. However, its voice is unique, and I think that's, for me personally, what's so exciting.
I really hope players get the opportunity to hear maple the way it should be for the first time, to hear walnut the way it should be for the first time, to experience something different with the instrument.
I hope it adds to the palette, regardless whether you are beginning with playing and it's your first instrument, or frankly, whether you are Martin lover who already has a number of Martin instruments. I think it adds something to the collection, and it's a wonderful instrument on its own right.